The people of South Africa have spoken on the policies that they want. They want their land back. They want African unity. They want the Amakhosi Yabo to be recognized. All of those things that speak of African unity, us, African democracy, that's what the people are resonating with. The three parties that the voters, South Africans voted for, that form 2/3 of the majority, MK, ANC, EFF, they should be governing this nation. Do South Africans really want young, fresh leaders now? No. It's old men. Baba Zuma, Ramaphosa, IFP leader, you name them, bring them on. All of them. Then you go to Gating, Bomashaba. It's all these men. I would not have believed. Remember before, there were threats of firing me, etc. People that would come and want to cause issues for leadership battles, Bontate Bloom, whoever, would come in. But I knew, it was nothing. But when I saw him, and I'm thinking, what has happened? All of us were shocked, all the other presidents there. Your world comes crashing like, whew. That's how I get fired from COPE. Apparently, I've joined another party, Sarah. I joined Sarah. We're all in the structure. Tatelikota is the president emeritus. I'm the president. Our national chair was the national chair of Sarah. So the two of us get fired. Tatelikota doesn't get fired. And everybody else is in the structure as well. Remember, we chose the president, put everybody. So that's how Sarah starts. Now I'm thrown into this deep end. It's not how I would have liked it to happen. Because I still needed the guidance, somebody who's been there, I drew a lot of strength and wisdom from him. I thought we'll walk this journey together.
Can I ask something before we get there?
Yeah.
Because I wanted to ask you, but I thought maybe I'm being spicy. So now, during the infighting of the people fighting for leadership in COPE, that era, what are you thinking? Because is this when you're in there also? So
no, I'm not there. There was an era, COPE has been through the cycles of leadership. Remember, I joined COPE 2021. So I didn't see the other fights that they had,
Okay.
But then mine was when Madisha was fighting with Tatelikota. Remember, he fired Tate Madisha first, Libo Dennis Bloom were fired before I was fired because they were challenging him. There was a time he was truly sickly, so Tate Madisha did take the reins, and was moving the party. But of course, Tina, we are brought up well. We don't talk about into Zabakula,
yes.
But they had their own issues where they started to fight for this leadership, where Madisha felt, look, a man is not capable at this stage to lead the party. He wants to take over, make decisions, etc. But Likota was refusing. The error that Tate Madisha made is that he started to force conference because, remember, Likota doesn't want a conference. Likota has been president. Even now, there's never been... There was supposed to have been one. It just keeps being postponed. There's not been a conference in COPE. So he wanted to have a conference to elect fresh leaders. And he started to establish branches. They were going all over the faction here. Madisha was going nationally, establishing branches, etc. It was the secretary who was fired with him, Bloom, the spokesperson, and Madisha and others, And they had gone so far, they had the rights, and they were constitutional. They were constitutional. To stop the train, you had to chop them because the Constitution allowed them to do what they were doing. So that fight heated up early last year. And then I think around January, Feb, that's when they were fired, they were removed. And look, it worked for me. I'll tell you why. Because Madisha and Bloom were for the DA. As you can see, even Bloom still fights for the DA now in his civic organization. And when I left the DA, joined the government of local unity, they wanted to fire me from COPE. But they didn't understand that I had the blessing of Tatelikota. You see. So they were now my enemies within the party. because they wanted the multi-party government. I don't know why, but they were just bent on this COPE must stay as a party to the multi-party charter. Whether you've got benefits or not, whether you are treated like a human being or just some voting cow, you know, or not, they didn't care to hear what their frustrations were. When I see Mashaba bursting at the scene like he is now with DA, I'm saying you are too late in the game. When we were doing that 2 years prior, you were at the forefront of insulting me, calling me a delinquent, calling me bribed, corrupt, etc. Hello, how's it today? You know, now that you, you know, this politics. So we were labeled all sorts of things. Helen Ziller is suing me even now. I'm still busy with that because I called her a racist, etc. And Bloom and Madisha were fueling this behind the scenes, you know. So when they were fired, I didn't moan, I didn't shed a tear. I may have rejoiced a bit. Human nature. But then I had planted a seed that was coming back to bite me. So indeed, I underestimated the man that they were fighting. And Tateli Kota is no way too old or I don't want to use, it's not stupid, I don't want to use that. I want to use a proper word. He's not a foolish man. He knows why he's there, what keeps him there. And until he's ready to depart from that, he will not depart. But the sad part is that this is the typical African story, African leaders that do not know when to exit while they can still be honored and cherished. For me, the sad part, and which I wanted to avoid, was COPE dying with him. Because COPE did not come back, lo and behold. And I don't think COPE is going to come back in its current form and shape anyway, because the political dynamic has moved. And there was a time COPE was an MK, but it failed to take advantage of the wave of the time to bring in fresh leaders, youthful leaders, people that really can take this revolution and give it life and energy and attract more young leaders, young people, and groom them for that. And therefore, it's withering and dying. And it's going to die in the hands of Tateli Kota. And for me, looking back, having spent 3 months licking wounds, I went into my own space to really understand you've lost election. Okay, you're fired as a speaker, you ran your race. You know, it was not a very good race, I must say. It started off well because we had sponsors with all of these parties with us. When COPE pulled out, NFP was one of the stronger ones, pulled out, AIC also pulled out. And these 2 other parties had their own internal fights, you know, leadership fights. And, you know, so, yeah, they just could not agree on that direction. And so it left smaller parties that were really not significant. And I'm using significant very carefully because I'm not saying they were not important to the constituencies.
But
and
they would have made an impact.
There's no impact, you know. So funders also pulled out. And we struggled a lot for funding. We struggled for media space. We struggled to really go out and get our message across. Yes, we qualified, which was great. And yes, we had support and we could feel the groundswell, but we just didn't have what it took really to well, at least get a seat. Let me just put it at that bare minimum. And I think also, and maybe we'll get to it, the fact that I was a woman leading this, I think it contributed. And I look at that to say there were other women-led parties. None of them made it. Only Patricia de Lille's party, good, but also just Ngenga, you know, 1 seat. And this is a party that has been there. So when you look at the pattern of the parties that are the 14 or so parties that made it in parliament, number one, you see money first and foremost, money from all the white capitalist money is there. It supported them big time. Even though money could not answer all the questions, because even the heavily funded, the RISE, the BOSAS, even Action SA, 90 million, 60 million, look at where they are. You know, you should be up there.
You know, I thought it was quite insulting, Body Bossa, because it's almost like Abelungu created these parties for black people.
Yes.
But it's so condescending because you haven't even spoken to the black people. You haven't, the black people didn't choose.
Yes.
Who's Songezo Zibi? Who are these?
Thank you. And now they are lost in parliament because with one seat, what are you going to do in parliament, you know? And we were unfortunate because one of the things that were, and because of the policies that we carried, we were clubbed, categorized as one of those. I think it's only now when people see us declaring our funding that they really believe that indeed we're not in that category. We had policies that, and I drew this from my learning with COPE, and which, you know, the 3 months that I've spent reflecting have assisted me now to really take time to look at the politics of this nation and of Africa. We adopted the gear that President Mbeki had at the time, and you know the kind of policies that are more on the right, you know, or center liberal kind of, and that didn't do us justice because of the policy stance that we took. We are then clubbed there, but we are not funded there. People rejected because they think we are part of that club, you see. And the voters rejected us. And when I said this around the table with our team to say, let us have a deep reflection, they could have rejected a woman leader. I'm not saying no to that. Inexperienced, I'm willing to swallow that. Painful as it is, you know, we did not have the experience and the buffer and all the parties that we thought will carry this. The unity that we're hoping for did not materialize because parties started pulling out. Rejected our policies because if you look at, if really things were fair, our politics were not bought and planned, just like our economy is bought and planned like the way it is. The 3 parties that the voters, South Africans voted for, that form 2/3 of the majority, MK, ANC, EFF, they should be governing this nation. What is this telling us as SARA? It told me that whether we like it or not, if I am to be a leader of the people of South Africa, I did not listen to them. The people of South Africa have spoken on the policies that they want. They want their land back. They want African unity. They want the Amakhosi Yabo to be recognized. All of those things that speak of African unity, us, African democracy, that's what the people are resonating with. People ask me, why did you join MK? You know, look at President Zuma. I said, you don't even know, number one, President Zuma. Number two, millions of South Africans put their cross and trust behind that man. They didn't do it for SARA. 3, you analyze that board. Do South Africans really want young, fresh leaders now? No. It's old men. Baba Zuma, Ramaphosa, IFP leader, you name them, bring them on. All of them. Then you go to War Gating, Bomashaba. It's all these men. What are South Africans telling us as well? Maybe tribalism, which is undermining African unity, or black South African unity. People still identify, they want an identity. SARA came in as a rainbow for all. People could not connect with that. Baba Zuma, uyezala athi bantwana bami. People flock. You may not like that is Zulu at this stage, but that's what has happened. IFP has done well with that. Gating took the tribal color thing to town. Look at what has happened with him. Freedom Front Plus, the Afrikaner thing, they took it to town. Look at what is happening with them. DA themselves, they're not caring about black. They want their minorities, they are white people, they are middle class and all of those. Look at the votes that they have gotten. Maybe we still have those politics of identity that if we don't define where we identify, it's not what South Africans. Bosa took the same stance of openness, rise. Look where they are. So for me, and some of the lessons were hard, and even Christians, because we also you know, coming from a Christian background, we are appealing a lot to churches and all of that, you know. And did Christians vote? No. Who did they vote on? They voted for all of those that I spoke about. So there's a lot that I think if we analyze that results board, we can start to find what it means to be South African and what are we looking for as South Africans and how do we unite and rally behind that. Forget what the GNU is trying to enforce and impose on us, because that for me is fake. You're trying to plan something that is just too unnatural. Here's the natural, 2/3 of the majority. What can we draw from that? I think that's the conversation. If we're going to have a national dialogue, that is the dialogue that we need to have. What led me to MK as well? You know, after the press, the results were announced.
Sorry to break you. I'm just trying to figure out the jump from Sarah to MK.
Yeah.
Can you clarify that for us?
So after the results were announced, we approached, well, I'm always at the center of organizing all of these parties. So the losers this time, about 26 parties that we came together to say, look, we've got legit and serious grievances here and proof and everything. I mean, it was appalling and overwhelming, the amount of proof that we have of rigging, you know. And not to say that if you fix that, we would have won elections, no. But at least you want to know that if 17 people said, we voted at this station for Sarah, and I look at the board and I don't see 17, that cannot be democracy. That cannot be justice, you know, and that's what we are looking for. Just take our votes, allocate them where they're supposed to be. And we approached MK because they had a similar issue, and we said, look, on our own, we're not going to be able to carry this weight. We are going against government, number one. We're going against IEC, which is, of course, the instrument of government and controlled by ANC. We need a big brother. We don't even have the money to get a lawyer to fight this thing. And MK was generous enough, and President Zuma said, no, come, let's put the case together. We go as one force. And that's where you saw that first press briefing.
Yes.
Remember, in fact, we hijacked them. If you remember, they started with their own press briefing because President Jacob Zuma was coming for their own thing. And before then, we said, please, just 2 minutes, we want to pitch this to you. And when we did, he said, no, fine, give us a couple of minutes to do what we came to do, then you'll join us. That's how you see us joining us. And contrary to what the media would like to put it, maybe MK is using, no. We approached them. And I was at the forefront of that, you know. And we had that press briefing, and that's where the relationship started to develop. And President Zuma made it clear to say, look, he wants MK Party. He knows his time is almost up. He's not going to be here forever. But he has a dream of an African unity. And he wants to bring all of us together. There's no point to go again to whether it's local elections or national elections. 80, 90 parties, black people with different T-shirts, confusing the electorate, saying the same things, but because we don't want to submit to one another, this one has ego, or this one maybe is ideologically, you believe that, and he said, forget ideology, because that has always been used to divide blacks. We can find our unity and then figure out, these are the issues we want to solve. Land, economy, people don't have jobs, women issues, etc. What is the best way to solve it? Forget ideology, because that's not going to put bread on our people's table. How are we going to put policies to solve this jointly? And we're going to have that policy conference. For me, that said, this is the Sarah we're looking for. And when I went back to the Sarah people to say, guys, remember Sarah was a South African Rainbow Alliance. We wanted this alliance. We may not be the right people to carry it now. Or we may not even be the party that must carry it. MK is trying to do the same thing. It's time for us to take off our heads now, fall in line, and support MK. Number one, the voters have already showed confidence in MK, the leadership of President Zuma. Why can't we support him in this? Also, he made a call to say, we have all of this seats that we got, they also didn't expect the, the success that they, received and the amount of support from the electorate. So they've got all of these seats. And when they started, I know it from my own party, sometimes you just put people just so that you don't lose the space,
Yes.
And he made a call to say, we want competent, qualified people that can come and help us and build together. And in my view, it's not different from when I go as a business person, win a contract with government. And then I realize, now I need the best CEO, best COO, best supervisor. I go out to the market and advertise, people come in and I choose, because you want this thing to succeed. And I commend him for that, because this is the first in politics is done like that. That's why we would end up in metros, in government, with inferior leaders, inferior mayors, because people didn't want to open up and say, let's get the best of us to come and lead us. Prof. Lumumba calls it kakistocracy, where we put the worst of us as Africans in leadership. And that is what I saw President Zuma saying no to. And I said, I love this. Besides African unity, him calling on qualified people, I love that. And he helped me personally to come out of my hole as well. In our second press briefing, we had a conversation, and it was like, I don't want you to be lost in politics. We need women leaders like you. You've got courage, boldness, and I want your voice to be heard in politics. And at the time, I was like, Baba Zuma, I don't know what the future will hold. And he said, no, we must sit down and talk. And I appreciated that. For a man of his caliber, he meets a lot of people that will come to him with even better credentials than me, some that he knows from long, he has served with. For him to have put his confidence also in me to say, come over, I felt we need more leaders to approach young people like that. Unlike what we see with other parties, especially with the ruling party. If they see a young leader coming up, you're immediately a sellout. You must be destroyed. I've had all sorts of things leveled against me. Some people that I was talking to, and the minute we went into Sarah, I was persona non grata. Even worse, the minute we went to MK, I made the announcement, some people just cut off. And we cannot afford that again as black people if we cannot unite around ideas, because shamelessly, the whites can. We may have Freedom Front, we may have DA, we may have, any other party. Where it matters the most, where it touches their property, their money, whatever, they will be like this. They can do their parties, it's okay, there's no threat. But the minute a threat arises, and if we have not realized that a threat has arisen for the black people, and we have this one chance now, this is our one opportunity to redress the past as a collective. And that's why they're making sure DA is bending over backwards, compromising everything that they believe in, they campaigned on, to make sure that they stay in the GNU. Because while there's a bigger picture, they are blocking. Unfortunately, they found an accomplice, they found a collaborator in there, but they will not leave. Whether we are going to say land without compensation now, they'll rather say, okay, we'll deal with it. They will. And I'm saying it's an opportunity. And MK, EFF, they're ready to work even with the ANC. It's up to the ANC.
Then as we wrap it up, I want to ask, because from your story I can hear that you were expected to work, but men must be the president.
Yeah. And, we've seen it. I make these examples all the time. When I rose to say I can be president, I was fired. Mpho Phalatse rose to say she can be president of DA. Where is she now? We don't know where she is politically. Mama Sisulu, she rose to say she can lead ANC. We don't know where she is politically. Done, dusted. Mazuma, where is she today? Done, dusted. So there is a deliberate effort to say a woman must not even express that desire, because you're going to be out. Truth be told, my sister, it has impacted me financially, my family. You know, I have to, there are people that have helped me financially that I had to go and say, please, I need a loan, I need to do this and that. And people end up staying because of those material conditions, life, you have to take children to school, and I understand that. But my question is, for how long? If you and I don't break that cycle now, we are leaving it to our girls tomorrow. And it's not getting better. No, it is not. I'm not seeing, even now, as I look at ANC ahead of time succession battle, we are not seeing a woman emerging. We are hearing about the Mbalulas, the Mashatiles, maybe Mantashes. Where are women? The minute they raise their head, they'll be out. And women for so long have played this support role, and it has not done us justice, because it's prominent women that we look up to, who perpetuate it, and therefore, and we emulate them.
Yeah.
They have not garnered inside of them the courage enough to say, live or die, I'm willing to stand by this ideal. No, today is, hey, let me rather get my paycheck and go home, leave those things. And we hear it all the time. When are we going to change this? When are we going to have truly an African president? We've had African president, but South African president.
Yeah, because we haven't had one yet.
No, and I don't think we're going to have one soon.
One that we choose for ourselves.
One that we choose for ourselves. And they are there. They are there.
Yeah.
But they...
No, the women are there.
Yeah.
We are there.
Yeah.
So what is it? Is it a psychological thing, or is it are the men intimidated by the women? Are the black men feeling so dispossessed that when they see a woman leader, then they feel it like it's a personal attack? What's the issue? Because women are at a higher caliber than male leaders.
Yeah. For me, I attribute it to two issues that I consciously, because Sarah didn't have, and I'm watching to see how MK will deal with it. This issue of Women League, we must do away with it. Immediately, you are relegating women to a particular stream. Why are they not in the mainstream? There was a time where our society called for Women League because it was a patriotic society and all of that. Legislation was not even allowing for women. And they could only play a support role on the side. And traditionally, we must admit that we had a society, and we still do to a large extent, you know, that is a male-led, male-dominated society. But if you have a women's league, you are saying in the mainstream, who's supposed to be in the mainstream? Is it a men's league? Because leadership comes from the mainstream. Policies are made in the mainstream. Leaders are picked from here. Do away with that. Women must be in the mainstream. That's my view. Two, yes, there is a psychological bit to it, and I saw it as a president of SARA. Women are very quick to abdicate to a man. We would call for, we've got these committees, we need chairpersons of these committees, nominate, you know, 2-3 times, and they will tell you, some of my women leaders, I will send it back and said, no, I'm a woman president. I cannot be just a woman president alone on top. And you guys are here. You are nominating men who are lesser than you, even in qualification, in experience. Why? But because men, maybe it's naturally, they are out there, the confidence, you know, they are used to rejection. We are not used to rejection. And if you don't conquer that fear of rejection, you will not make it in this industry. And they are just have this thing that maybe, hey, if they say no, no. Women must put themselves out there as well. You know, nominate yourself. Raise your own hand. Ask other women to. That's how men do it. Please nominate me. Go out and lobby. That's how this game works. You know, you kind of like push your agenda as well. And create the networks that are necessary to support you as a woman. And they're not doing that. You literally have to force them to come in. I saw it even in MK Party. They're talking about we need more women representation. We don't have enough women leaders. And we are here. We've raised our hands. Let's see what they do with us.
Yes, let's see. Because really, let's see.
Yeah.
We're making a lot of noise so that women like you can step in and represent us.
Yes. Because what is it that you are looking for that we don't have?
Thank you so much, Ma'am Colleen. That was such a beautiful conversation, and we're looking forward to hosting you again as things uncover. Guys, I know you enjoyed that. Umoya Ulight, Umoya Upright. Remember to like, share, and subscribe. And remember the new rules, guys. The part 1 is free for everybody. Part 2 is for the community members who are paying for the subscription. The subscription is just 20 Rand. So please, guys, 20 Rand a month, and let us build our platform for Black dignity. See you again next time. Thank you. That was beautiful.
I told my life.
Who are you when all you were has been diluted by lies and white lines cancelling out all that which has been written of your history? Why do you look at yourself as a mystery? Doesn't the sun shine because you open your eyes? Doesn't the moon stay situated within the same stars your DNA sparkles off? Your spirit knows that surely corner into e off. Buza umoya so you may return to being well off. Because spiritually you are rich, yet your ancestors cry because you are out of reach. But yours is to command all elements while God takes inspiration from the very mirror she looked at to become. Remember who you are and never finish just when they think that with you they are done.